Now, whether we believe it in them or not, most of us are endlessly fascinated by the subject of ghosts. Ireland is richly endowed with ghost stories, and this collection has just been put together by Joe Baker of the Glenravel Local History Project. And tonight he's joined by Samantha Leslie, who lives in what's reputed to be the most haunted house in Ireland. That's Castle Leslie in County Monaghan. Please give both of them a little bit of a welcome. Joe, how rich is Ulster as far as ghost stories go?
Well, for the four provinces of Ireland, I would say that Ulster is the old province of Ulster being the 9 counties instead of the known present 6.
Yes.
Would be the most well known for having various ghost stories within it.
We're good for ghosts, is what you
Yeah.
say. Why have you decided to collect them and to write them up and to put them into little booklets and pamphlets like this?
Well, what we do is we run a local history project in the Iceland Centre, which is in the New Lodge area of Belfast. And what happened was that halfway through, whenever we were doing publications on other local historical topics, we realised that people are interested in these stories and that these stories were part of our folklore.
And should be written down.
And should be written down. But the main point was that in the present age of sort of high technology and sort of TV and video and satellite, etc., stories like this were being totally forgot about.
Yes, and lost.
And totally lost.
What's your favourite of all the ones you've written about?
Well, of all the ones I've written about so far, my favourite would be the most famous Ulster ghost story, which is Old Haddock's Ghost.
Oh, tell us a bit about Old Haddock's Ghost.
Well, Old Haddock's Ghost is stated to be one of the sort of only ghost stories which is actually recorded as fact because it occurred in a courtroom.
Go on.
And what happened was in 1700s there was a man died and he left his wife and son a plot of farmland near Drumbeg. And the wife remarried and her husband decided that he would sort of try and take over this land and he would have the land for himself. Obviously wherever James Haddock was, he wasn't too happy about the whole situation and he decided to come back to a friend of his, a man named Francis Taverner, and decided to try and get this man to take this issue up where he had left his land with his son.
Right, where's the ghost come in, Joe? Come on, you're getting me on
The
edge
ghost
here.
comes in later. But well, basically what happened was it eventually went to court and Francis Taverner was being mocked by the prosecution within the court, and the ghost was said to have appeared in the courtroom and it was settled in the favour of Francis Taverner's sort of son, and it's actually recorded in the Carrickfergus court papers that this ghost appeared in a courtroom.
What do you think of that? Have you seen a ghost?
No.
Have you seen a ghost?
Yes.
Where?
Other than you.
Where have you seen this ghost?
At home.
Yeah.
Lovely sunny summer afternoon.
Tell me first of all where home is. Explain Castle Leslie to me.
Castle Leslie has been the family home since 1660s, and it's North Monaghan on the border of Armagh and Tyrone.
Okay, go on. Tell me about the ghost you saw.
We used to play in the basement when we were kids, and you come down a long set of stairs and there's a long corridor, and on the left there's the old servants' kitchens, and that's where we were going down to paint. And as I walked down the stairs on a sunny summer afternoon, I saw a grey figure walk down the corridor, and I thought it was Harry Lavery, who used to work for us. He was still alive at the time. And I started calling after him, and it kept walking, and I thought he was a bit deaf, so I started shouting. And he kept walking, and I thought something was a little bit odd. And there's an archway at the end of the corridor, and just before he got to the archway, in the space of 2 steps, he just dissolved. So did I. He was gone. Just ran. He's
I just wanted to do that. You have. Apparently you have 18.
I'm going to get you later.
Apparently you have 18 ghosts in this house. Now, why so many ghosts? Why do they all come to you?
Because I react like that. We didn't think it was particularly haunted until my grandfather wrote a lot of ghost stories and wrote books on ghost stories. and we decided to look into them. And we gathered up 18 stories around the house, and we're getting more and more all the time.
Tell me about your great uncle.
My great uncle Norman, at the turn of the century, he went off to Sandhurst and joined the military academy, passed out with top honours, and was given a sword by the Duke of Connaught, which was inscribed.
Oh, I've got this sword.
Yes,
Yeah, go on.
bit slow on the old props.
Yeah, go on. Keep on telling me. Right?
And the First World War came, and he duly went off in the summer of 1914. And on the 18th of October, he was seen on the grounds in the afternoon down by the lake and walking along the path from the church to the house by various members of the staff and gardeners. And there was a great buzz around the house that he was home, and his room was got ready and his meal was prepared, and his mother was told, and there's even a small note in her diary, that Norman was home. And that evening everybody waited for him to come to the house, and of course he never did. And a few days later the letter came through from the War Office to say he died early the morning on October the 18th.
But he appeared in the house.
He came back to say his goodbyes. He adored the place.
And what about the sword?
He dropped the sword where he died. Well, Norman's room was kept as a shrine to him after he died until the mid-50s. And then his mother died, so the room was opened up again. And cousins sold their house in England, Brid House. Brid was desperately haunted, and there was an auction, and this particular bed was bought. And it came over to the house, and it brought a few things with it.
It brought its own ghost,
Yeah,
did it?
it certainly did. The bed itself is dated 1617, and it's quite a lot of things have happened in it.
Have you ever slept in it?
Once for the Jerry Ryan show, under serious protest with 3 people in a baseball bat.
And did ghostly things happen?
Yes.
Joe, your next book is just going to be full of all these stories.
Well, what happened was at the start we decided to do a book, and then we realised that there was that much, sort of that many stories that we couldn't have possibly have done it in a book, unless the book would have been 400 or 500 pages thick. So what we decided to do was to do it in a series of magazines and keep the magazines open so that people can.
And are you looking for people to send you in stories, good stories?
Well, constantly we're always looking to for people of any ghost stories which they know.
Okay.
To send them to us.
And if you want to terrify yourself completely, you can go down and spend the weekend at your house. Is that right?
Yeah.
Cost you a few bob, but you can go and sleep in that bed if you wish.
Come
but
on.
You have ghost busting weekends down.
Mm-hmm. And the prize is a night in the haunted bed. And so far, 2 people have taken up the prize, funnily enough.
Well, idiots. Thanks to both of you for coming in and telling those fascinating stories. Thanks very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe and Samantha.
The haunted castle that the Leslie family call home. And the ghosties and ghoulies have fed in to the machinery there. We'll bring you that report shortly. Here's Ronan Kelly with the ghosties and the ghouls.
You know, there may be lots of places that you could enjoy a pleasant weekend, but something tells me that Castle Leslie in County Monaghan isn't one of them. Built in 1660, there's only one word to describe the place. Weird.
This is the haunted bedroom. More the bed that's haunted. It came from a cousin's house in England, Brid House, in about 1950, and Brid itself was desperately haunted. You're a very brave man to sit there. Brid was built on the site of ransacked Abbey, and it was built in the 15th and 1600s. And at that time, child mortality was very high. 1 in 2 children died before the age of 5. And for an aristocratic family, to have a child that was illegitimate was a desperate scourge. And the story has it that the family had such a child, and the mother was very fond of it, and the father didn't want the child. So he used the old trick of a feather pillow over its head while it slept. Suffocated. Very quiet, very effective. And in those days they couldn't tell the difference between death by suffocation or any other form, so nothing was said. It's quite a common practice.
Well, this sword has a history. It belonged to my uncle Norman. It was the sword of honour for the best cadet at Sandhurst, which he won. And then a year later, in 1914, he was killed leading a charge against a machine gun. About a week before he died, he was seen broad daylight coming up that path one afternoon. He just smiled at everyone and walked in. Then the poor man was killed, and a month later, my mother woke up in the room up there directly above It was brightly lit. And she saw Norman at the chest of drawers, opening the drawers and looking for some letters. And she said, "Why, Norman, are you home?" He smiled at her, shut the drawer, and slowly faded out. And the room went dark again, and she suddenly realized he'd been dead a month or so.
And so the spooky story continues. In this bed behind me in 1944, Leonie Leslie passed away. And there's a story to be told about that. Now, the man who's going to tell us the story is Sir John Leslie, who left this house back in 1953. Sir John, what happened here on the night that Leonie died?
Well, everyone really knew it was very soon to be the end. And at about 11:30 at night, the nurse was sitting in that chair there, and she was dozing, semi-unconscious, you might say. And the nurse saw this lady walk into the room, appearing from apparently nowhere, walking up to their bed there, standing exactly there, and looking down, and then she just vanished. A few hours later, my grandmother died, Leonie. Well, the next day, the nurse was down in the dining room, and she saw the picture of Lady Constance by Philip de Laszlo, the portrait, and she said, "Oh, well, that definitely is the lady I saw walk up to the bed and look down amicably at Leonie, her daughter-in-law."
We decided with so many things happening in the house over the years that there was enough to bring people around and show them the different places and tell them all the stories. We're open on the weekends through to Halloween. We have the historical tours in the tea rooms and the ghost tours at 6 o'clock in the evening. And the end of the season is our Halloween ball, the last weekend. It's the theme of one hell of a ball, and it's fancy dress. Come as who you'd like to see or expect to see in hell. So it's anybody from a vampire to the Batman.
So, would you pay for someone to frighten the living daylights out of you? I wouldn't. That place is spooky.